Welcome back. The governor was just telling us about some of the legislation that passed, but now we're going to focus on some changes coming out of the session that will help state police. Ronnell Higgins, the commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, is joining me. Commissioner, welcome back.
Hey, thank you. Good to see you again, Eric.
And we want to talk to you about some of those bills that came out, because I know some of them were things we've talked about, and one of them is the issue of street takeovers. We've heard it from you, we've heard it from local police officers and police chiefs as well. They can be so dangerous because obviously there's the participants, but also an average citizen could just end up swept up in the middle of this. Tell me about the new legislation and what it does.
Yeah, so I don't have the specifics on what the new legislation does, but I know that we spoke with legislators at the beginning of the session and leading up to it, and I want to say thank you to all of them for all their work in supporting the police. What we have found is that street takeovers are inherently dangerous. The police officers are spending far too much time in cities and towns trying to respond to them. Ambulances, fire engines can't get to where they need to go, and they're dangerous. We've had tremendous success in this state working together, Connecticut State Police working with local police to prevent them from happening in the first place. But when they do happen, we're also having success in tracking down those that are responsible and holding them accountable. And we hope to continue that through the summer. The summertime, there's more people on the roads, kids are out of school, young people are home from colleges. We have entered the 100 most dangerous driving days of the year. So street takeovers create additional problems for our cities and towns. And so we're going to be cracking down on that.
And that's during that same 100 most dangerous days. We also have seen a lot more speeding. And I know state police have been making an effort to put out the word when they make these really high speed arrests, 100 miles an hour, 120, and let people know, hey, we're out here enforcing this and you can't do that. But there's some new reckless driving legislation that gives a little bit more teeth to that, right?
Absolutely. Now your license can be suspended as a result, and your car can be impounded for up to 48 hours. So we're moving in the right direction in terms of holding people accountable for reckless driving in the state. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we saw the speed seem to increase during the pandemic, and it seems that for some people it's just never come back down. So is that part of it, is that maybe some of these drivers feel like, well, I'm going to get a $200 fine, what do I care, I'll just keep doing it, but it's that teeth that might help.
The teeth helps. When we see drivers operating a motor vehicle in excess speeds of 100 miles per hour. I read a report about a young man who was driving 120 miles per hour just the other day and claimed he was late for a job interview. That is totally unacceptable. He's endangering himself, and he's also, anyone who does that is endangering the motoring public.
So certainly a big concern. The other one that was maybe just a cleanup kind of thing, but important, was this cannabis bill. Because we've talked a lot about the difference between drunk driving and impaired driving. But this was something that the troopers were asking for.
Well, this was a concerted law enforcement across the state ask. We felt that there wasn't enough that we can do to prevent individuals who just flagrantly smoked marijuana and operated a motor vehicle. So now, if a police officer sees someone smoking marijuana, smoking a joint in a car, we can initiate a motor vehicle stop and pull them over for that.
Because we've talked a lot about the idea of, how do you do field sobriety, and it's a little bit different. But this was the basic issue of they actually see someone with their own eyes using it.
Absolutely.
And they needed that tool.
Absolutely. So we're moving in the right direction. I still believe there's more that we probably could do, but I'm thankful for the efforts of our legislators in this session and what they did for us.
Speaking of moving in the right direction, I know you're happy with where the crime numbers are, right? What are you seeing trend-wise and how we're doing?
So we're down, our crime numbers are down in violent crimes, property crimes, and motor vehicle thefts. I'm a little concerned about identity theft. I'm a little concerned about computer crimes. I don't think all of those types of crimes are being reported to police. No fault of the police. I just think we need to do a deeper dive and look at some other resources and see how they're capturing their data. But I am happy with crime data right now in the state. The state of Connecticut is one of the most safest states in the nation. And that's because we work together. We're using data to drive our decisions. We're now producing quarterly crime reports, not just for our own agency, for our own use, but we're publishing them for the entire state. So police chiefs now have data that they can go to quarterly from the state of Connecticut. And we're also offering up our data scientists and our data team to support those police departments that may not have crime analysts. So we want to support them.
A different type of data, but the crime lab just got a big recognition. I know it's not even out there yet, so brag about them a little bit.
Well, I'd love to. So the Division of Scientific Services, also known as the Crime Lab, led by Dr. Guy Valero, received its third perfect accreditation score. So for the last 3 years, the state of Connecticut's Crime Lab has received a perfect score. Now, if you think back a decade ago, and I remember some of the articles that were written about this, the Crime Lab had a backlog of cases, up to 12,000 cases, sexual assault cases, other cases. Now their turnaround time is unlike ever before, and these scientists at the Crime Lab are providing unbiased scientific evidence for criminal cases in the state of Connecticut, and Connecticut has a lot to be proud of.
And certainly good news that perfect score is a big deal. I want to just ask you a last thing about recruitment and what you're doing to reach out to young people and to try to encourage them. I know you've been in this your whole life. And what is it that you can do to maybe get some of these great candidates to think about that career in law enforcement?
So first off, I'll say the Connecticut State Police is doing an amazing job. I am so proud of CSP and their efforts to recruit. They are recruiting up and down the East Coast. They're on college campuses, military installations. They're recruiting on the campuses of historically black colleges and universities. But like myself, like others, we're at a point in our careers where we're recruiting into the profession. So one of the things that we're doing is we're holding a criminal justice camp at the Connecticut Police Academy, where we're inviting police departments from around the state to come in and let's all recruit together. Let's invite young people to our police academy. Let's set up shop, invite them in, and talk to them about careers in policing. The second thing that we're doing is we're going to be working more closely with the Department of Education here in the state of Connecticut. I feel very strongly that we need to create career pathways like the Career Pathway Program in Vinyl Tech that prepares young people for careers in emergency management and firefighting and EMS. I believe Bullard Havens has a similar program. I believe we need to get these programs into schools earlier so we can get to young people earlier so that when they want to decide upon a career, they've already decided in high school, and we can get them into these jobs right here in the state of Connecticut. There's a lot of openings.
Well, it certainly is important work, and we appreciate you being here telling us all about it, what changed at the legislature, and some of the good news from the state. Commissioner Higgins, thank you so much for being with us.
Good to see you.